Lord. Alright.
You need to keep that in. Welcome to Reasonable Recording Room, where we record in the same room, reasonably.
We are in the same room.
We are right next to each other, in fact.
We're making eye contact, and you don't want to know what else is happening. Okay, so...
Number one. First, is this the first question?
Wilbur.
Ah, God, that scared me so.
They're going to think we're liars. They're going to start listening, and they're going to think to themselves, this recording room isn't reasonable at all. I've been had.
But no, maybe they'll find it endearing.
Should we do? It's real tough to start with a disclaimer, but I wonder if that would be in order.
Disclaimer, this is Wilbur and Shiho. I think that would do.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello.
You can try again.
Hello. My name is Wilbur and I'm from the west side of the world. The very west, on the edge.
Very edge.
My feet are dangling as we speak.
Alright.
I have a paper in front of me.
What's on it?
Nothing yet.
These are dark beginnings. Hold on, my cat wants to say something.
I think you should keep this in.
Okay. On
my paper, it says recording reasonably, but I accidentally spelled reasonably with an E. I wrote it with pen, so I tried to cover it up with a Y. But now it just looks like a G. This has been going on for 10 minutes and we've gotten nowhere.
I think we're doing a very nice job.
But you know what? We're going at our own pace. Did you see that David Bowie is going to die?
How long have we been doing this?
Oh my god. John Lennon said, "Oh my god, I'd love to be interviewed," or something for the podcast. John Lennon, if you're listening to this, sure.
We would love to have you on the podcast, so we'll send a direct message on Tumblr with our correspondence account, which is RRR-moderation on Tumblr, and we will go from there.
John, I'm going to mention you by name because I think that you're friends with David Bowie. David Bowie, if you're listening to this, just know that you need to be alert. Keep that one in, but bleep it.
I don't want your nonsensical ramblings overtaking. One of the asks we received was, what even is rad queer? And that's a great question.
I'm going to add another word.
Can I ask what it is?
David Bowie.
Okay, so rad queer, I don't know, there's no date on this. It was archived, this here Tumblr post was archived in November of 2021.
It really was November 2021.
Oh, okay. There's so many frogs in my throat.
They're 5?
At least.
I have a horse somewhere in there. That's why sometimes you hear me go neigh.
So, Mephisto I feel silly just saying that. I feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong. On Tumblr.com. And I will read to you what they how they defined it themselves. Maybe you should read it. I feel like...
Okay, where is it?
Oh my god. This is going really well. Okay.
Anywho, rad queer, radical queer, was created in response to the Puritanism hypocrisy, general rejection in the queer community regarding a range of marginalized and stigmatized queer sexualities, paraphilias, in parentheses, comma, internal identities, parentheses, trans, comma, transabled, comma, trans-ill / trans-no-so, comma, trans species, comma, alterhuman / trans non-human, etc., parentheses, and behaviors, parentheses, social, comma, sexual eccentricity, etc. Compared to the average queer, rad queers hold a much more radical position on this topic, believing that these identities are also part of the queer community. Either they're queer, parentheses, equal strange, comma, non-normative, parentheses, in nature, period, rhombus. What? There was a rhombus. Are you being shut?
Okay, now I think we've answered what is rad queer. However, I think
I didn't even get to the definition.
yes, that was the definition.
Oh, well, that's a reminder. Okay, never mind.
Okay, now you know.
Whew.
This anonymous sent, what was your first experience with the rad queer community and how did you get into it? And I know you've been here for much longer. I keep gesturing with my hands like anyone is going to understand what I'm doing.
No, I do understand because we're right next to each other.
Or I appreciate that. I think you've been here much longer than I have, so I think you should
Yes, indeed.
go ahead with your wonderful experience, and the people will get to know you and they will feel affinity with you.
It was a dark and stormy night in January, literally, and I was in the car and I was so bored, and I was like,
January of which year?
2023, and I was like, I'm going to make info posts on Instagram and I'm going to decorate them and it's going to be really cool. So then I go on to this one person's like account to like copy their layout and like I look at their DNI and it says rad queers and I'm like, what in the world is that? And I don't think anything of it. But then I'm on Pinterest and I'm saving the map flag to one of my boards.
As one
And
does.
then I go deeper and I find out what a trans age is. And I'm like, what is that? And then I click on like the link on the Pinterest thing and I read it and I'm like, oh, that's neat. And so I'm like, I guess that is me now. And then one random spring day in May, I think, I was thinking of joining Discord servers. So then I searched up rad queer into the Discord thing and I joined one. And then that is how I became who I am to this day.
How would you describe your experience emotionally?
I would say I feel like I'm in a very odd spot because of, my circumstances.
You keep saying you know, and I don't know what you're talking about. Ever.
the coinings and the call-out posts and the hate and the craziness.
Kind of a hot topic, like the store.
But in my heart, I'm but a man with a plan. In my heart, I'm just a man with a plan whose name is Dan. Daniel is a name that I go by. So the rhyme is the truth.
All right, thank you, Daniel.
And no, I'm not done.
Sorry.
In my early days, I was navigating the world through Discord and not Tumblr because I was afraid. And so I was like kind of distant, and I lied a lot. But then like when I started like making my Tumblr account, then I realized that I didn't have to do that and I didn't have to suffer. And now I am here with millions of dollars and millions of fans.
You're really selling the relatability.
Back to you. Yeah.
Okay, my experience was actually, I remember it like it was yesterday because it was a lot closer to yesterday than January of 2023.
Exactly.
It was February of 2024 and I'm on twitter.com, of which I have recently been suspended on and I'm really upset about it.
Oh, I thought you just unfollowed me and I got really sad.
No, I've been suspended because TERFs, they found me with their metal detectors, and
You weren't wearing your green sash.
I was not wearing my green sash, and the beast took everything that I had. Anyways, I was on twitter.com and I think I saw a post that was making fun of someone on Tumblr having posted some niche trans ID. And I thought to myself, this is very strange. And then I went down a Tumblr rabbit hole and I went back to tumblr.com. And at this point, I already had an alternate Twitter account that was pro-paraphilic in nature. And so I had already kind of been introduced to that side of the community. And then I made a Tumblr account and I decided to start rooting around in the radqueer tags. And the first person I ever followed was Cow.
How wonderful is that?
How wonderful is that? That's pretty neat how these things happen. It's a very small world. And then my first ever radqueer account on Tumblr is actually still up and running. But then the first Discord server I joined that was radqueer was your server, which I feel like is not the model experience.
Oh, that dastardly server.
Dastardly indeed.
You didn't even join like my original Discord server. You joined the dastardly one.
I think I had it coming.
Oh, this is some backstory and some lore for the people listening and you. I had a server called Baseboard, and it was a cis harmful Discord server, and I wonder if people watching this were perhaps in there, but that was my inspiration for the name Based Queer and Laced Cord.
My cat wants to talk again. And roll credits. Thank you for tuning in to... Okay.
That Monster energy drink did nothing but make me shake and shiver.
Well, you know what they say.
The cold never bothered me anyway. By Elsa.
By Elsa. I was asked why we didn't have an anti-host if it was supposed to be like an all-inclusive podcast. And you know how our nation, the beautiful country of the United States of America, operates on a two-party system, and logically and in the past it would make sense to have a president who is of one party and a vice president who is of the opposing party, so that we can have more diversified opinions in the White House. That would make sense, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't happen. Sometimes things don't go the way they should because of a higher power. Basically, I don't have any anti-friends, so how would I have them here? They don't want to talk to me.
They've all bailed on us all the time. Even when they reblog the posts and say this seems cool.
They never pull through. This is a beautiful segue into another point. One of the asks that we received multiple times actually was people asking if we're open to more quote-unquote problematic types such as post-radqueer, xeno-satanist, etc., or pro-Cs, pro-contact people.
And you know what, guys? You're in for a treat. Ta-da!
Was I supposed to say the treat?
Yes!
I'm sorry.
Yes!
Let's roll back on that one.
Okay. You know what, guys? You're in for a treat.
I'll do you one better.
Guys, did you expect a beautiful man such as Wilbur to start running a podcast? I don't think that you did.
Okay. Basically, case in point, everyone can interact and everyone is encouraged to interact. Hello?
Ow. Oh my god. Sorry.
Another question was, why do you tag your posts as anti-radqueer? And that is because we want to include that genre of individual in our audience as well, so that they can express themselves however they see fit. And
I would also like to add, sorry for interrupting you because you're right next to me.
that's okay.
I would like everyone to learn about different aspects of everything all the time. so that, like, if you have an opinion and you think something is dastardly, maybe you won't find it as dastardly.
Or maybe you'll find something else dastardly, and you can have more things to be mad about.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you'll even find it more dastardly, and that's okay.
Just really expand your horizons. One thing I want to note is that I don't think creating very closed off communities is in any way beneficial, and nor do I think the movement of like trying to eradicate
Eradicate.
Got ahead of myself. Nor do I think like the movement of trying to eradicate any particular genre of person from the internet is useful socially, because you can exclude people socially, but they'll still be there. And that's like what happened in Lion King 1. And then if you watch Lion King 2, they all come together again because they realize we're not so different after all.
You know who I do think that we should eradicate from the internet? I want you to bleep this out. But
Okay.
leave it in. I want to eradicate from the internet personally. In my heart of hearts, I want that man. I want him. I hate him so much. That's all I have.
I feel like we're kind of playing good cop, bad cop here.
That's the only. Oh, also this one person on Twitter.
Oh my
bleep
God.
this out. Don't bleep this out. Because if they're listening to this, which they probably are not, I hope they hear it and change their ways. On Twitter, I want you to, like, from the bottom of my heart, I want you I want you, because if I see one more post on my timeline, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
Did you know you can block people?
Yes, but I don't feel like it, because he has some bangers.
But not enough.
Not enough. It's like 1/4.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say.
Another thing I wanted to note, because I've hopped around and I've been in every genre of space. I've been in a lot of neutral radqueer servers. I've been in pro-C spaces. I've been in anti-C spaces. I'm even in an anti-radqueer server, and I've been in xeno-satanist spaces, base queer spaces, all of those genres, and I've also been in like Therian or Alter Human exclusive spaces. Everyone is just... The thing is, it's not that big of a deal. Everywhere I've gone, no one is really extreme as they present themselves to be on the internet. It's really easy when you're on Tumblr or when you're on Twitter to puff out your chest and pretend like you're the face of some civil rights movement and that you're changing. My cat is eating my microphone wires and I don't really appreciate. Okay. But I think people tend to forget that the people they're interacting with are also human beings in usually very similar circumstances to them. I honestly think the average anti and the average radqueer have more in common than they have not in common, at least from my experience. Especially considering looking at the original radqueer post, it's not inherently pro-C either. There's a great deal of antis who are just pro, like, quote-unquote non-harmful trans ID, and they're pro-para as well. There's not as big of a divide as I feel like people think there is, and I don't think that creating more smaller and more secluded and cut-off communities is going to help either side of anything ever, if that makes sense. I also think that people act way different when they're posting publicly versus when you talk to them in private. Like, all the antis I've talked to publicly, like when they're reblogging something on Tumblr or commenting on something on Tumblr, they can be very aggressive. It can be really aggressive.
Except for that one guy. Except for that, you know who I'm talking about. That
Yeah.
one. You can bleep that out if you would
I
like
will.
to.
I will.
I'm gonna rephrase that. Except for that one. So that one K-pop fan, you are very annoying inside and out.
It's just, if you have one conversation with someone in private, they're just usually normal, and you have a bit of a kinship with one another, and I feel like people have invented more of a mental divide, more of social divide than is actually warranted in any capacity.
People think that I am very scary and evil, but in reality, I like to post pictures of the beach when I go to the beach, and I like to post beautiful pictures of nature and pets that I want in my life. And in fact, I'm very happy and nice all of the time, and I don't understand why people think that like every like based career like Satanist or whatever is like so evil, because okay, number one, CL, crazy unpredictable man, but
Yeah, I was gonna
he's
say,
fun.
CL, everything
He's
everyone
fun to
said about
play.
him is true.
Yeah,
You're right about that one.
yeah,
That guy
but
is
like
problems.
he's really fun to play Identity V with.
No, he's not, because he's way better at it than I am. And
Okay, wait, no, that's true.
it's really
Okay,
annoying.
but like Samson
No
is
one
really
hates
fun
Samson.
to play Identity V with. And if you do hate Samson, then that's a you problem, truly.
I feel like
But,
most people don't know who Samson is.
Samson is...
Oh, another thing.
What's your other thing?
All of the Xeno-Satanists that I have talked to, it's more of... It's extremely radical in the sense of the belief that radicalism is necessary to make any social progress. I feel like people who are Xeno-Satanists just have the view that more violent and extreme radicalism is necessary to make any change whatsoever. I think the main difference in beliefs between antis and rad queers in general, and then rad queers and like post-rad queers and Xeno-Satanists and everywhere down the line, is a different view on what constitutes as harm. I think that's the main thing I've noticed, because I'm not someone that is pro-harm in any which way. I mean, I've made mistakes, sure. But when I think about things, I'm like, we should be nice to each other and good things should happen in the world. But other people who also believe themselves to be against harm in general may consider me an egregious person because they think things that I think are not harmful are harmful. Yes.
I would say I agree with this because people know me as the guy who punches his girlfriend every day.
I would like to know...
Well... Wait. Okay. Wait. Cut that part out because nobody knows about that.
Maybe it's time to come clean.
Anywho, guys. People know me as a man. A very, very evil man. And you know what? May or may not be true. Who knows? Some things may be schemes, some things may not be schemes. But who really knows? Who really cares by TV Girl? Anyways, I myself, in my beliefs, the things that I am pro are things that I myself would do. And I don't really care what other people do, but I think that, like, if I look at the world in a grand scheme, I don't think that people should be hitting people, but I don't care if I do it, and that is the thing.
You're not making yourself sound better.
Society. People think that I think everyone should just be punching people, but no, I just think that's okay if I do it.
It's a terrible stance to have.
No, I'm realizing my fault in my logic, and I just want to sincerely apologize to everyone ever who I have hurt. Can I rephrase that?
We're not here to spew falsehoods.
Okay, guys. So let's run it back.
It's okay if I do.
Reasonable recording room. Right now, it's all about fighting and kicking and screaming and exclusion in this world. And you know what? I don't believe in that. And that's why
Vriska was right.
Vriska? Oh! 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 Oh, okay. I get it. Humans know no bounds.
My dog is here. She just put the microphone in her mouth.
Did it taste wonderful?
Taffy, how did it taste? She did it again, so it must have.
I'm so glad. You know what? That's what everyone wants to do. It's a dog-eat-microphone world. And I just think that it should change, which is why I, myself, find my views becoming more and more central towards myself. I don't care what anyone else does, like, truly, I don't care.
Wasn't that really the essence, kind of both redacted queer, which Jinx and Rose coined, and also Noxia queer? That Koji coined. Wasn't that kind of Noxia queer?
Yes, and one of the things that people don't understand about based queer is that it was all a joke and a ruse. And I've been saying, we've been saying this for like, since it's been coined. This was a joke, this was a ruse, but nobody understands. Nobody understands. And people think that we're lying. But it's not a lie, because both of the coiners are very, well, that's not true. One of the coiners is very nice, and it's not Salem. And I just want everyone to know right here, right now, wilbur is not how he seems.
Can I ask you a favor?
What is your favorite?
Do you mind reading the really long ask that we received that I sent to you?
Okay, yeah. Okay. This isn't much of a question and more of a statement. I'd like to point out a small question that I'm sure everyone has had for months on end now. I'm unsure why anti-rad queer are in need of relabeling labels that have existed for many years now. I'll take this label in particular, trans age. The antis have made it into a new label with the same definition, which is called, please correct me if I misspelled it, chronosian. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think. If it's wrong, then don't correct me.
I had been reading it as chronosian, but that sounds bad.
Chronosian. Yeah. I don't know, guys. Let's make a poll. Both of them are described differently, but they both have the same meaning, which is not feeling like your chronological age. Whoa. That was the horse I said, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Which is not feeling like your chronological age, but at a different age. Is there any reason why you have the need to change labels all of a sudden, but keep them meaning the same? Is it because of the trans prefix? And if not, please explain. Question for the antis, if this might be allowed. Now, anti-rad queer guy is not here because he bailed on us. If he was here, I'm sure that he would say, thank you, wilbur. That was a very beautiful reading.
And he did answer it, because we sent it to him, and he answered it
very
eloquently, and I'm going to read that answer.
Oh my gosh, we just got a new question.
Oh my goodness, really? Live?
Yeah, live on the air.
I'm first going to read anti-rad queer guy's response, and he said, so the reason why similar terms exist is due to 1. The stigma surrounding that term and/or a general distaste for the community that made the term. 2. To disconnect oneself from that community by creating a similar or exact term under a different name. Many alternative terms are made this way. They may be similar, but there are reasons why someone would be uncomfortable with using that term in the first place to create an alternative. It's not intended to be a rivalry or a rebelling label. It's meant for that person to have a label they are comfortable with in a space they are comfortable with. So I hope his answer shines some light on your question.
I am so glad that he said that, and I think that actually makes a lot of sense, because people were like, when I coined based queer, people were like, I'm going to recoin rad queer because this is preposterous. So I understand, but also not really, because I thought that was kind of stupid. But to each their own. as they say in the business.
I got some other responses as well from people in his server, but I didn't get explicit permission from them to use their words on here. I'm just going to leave that up in the air from now.
We care about people's comfort in this world.
Wait, can I say one thing before I forget?
Okay, yes.
A lot of people were really excited, and I'm really happy that a lot of people were really excited. I also fear that we are not going to live up to people's expectations. Luckily, there is an easy solution to this. If you don't like the things we are saying, or you think we could be wording things in a better way, that you could have better things to contribute, then you can come on the podcast and you can share your thoughts and ideas and be part of this wonderful thing that is happening, regardless of your beliefs or what you have to say. We want you to come on here so that you can improve the experience for everyone, and very good things will happen.
It will be beautiful and we'll live in harmony. Now it is time for the newest question, which was asked 4 minutes ago. What do you think about contact discourse? I noticed it's a pretty significant point of contention in the radqueer community and a source of a lot of infighting. I don't know how we can go about it in a way that works for everyone. That is a good question.
I have a bone to pick specifically with contact discourse, because I think the labels we have right now are not useful. Someone who is an anti or someone who is anti-contact might view anyone who is pro-contact as someone being pro-abuse. But I think most people who are pro-C, it's not because they're pro-abuse or anti-consent, but it's because they have a different view on what can and cannot be consented to, and again, like what I said earlier, what actually constitutes as harm. And I think most people, if you really get into it, are probably going to fall under complicated contact, because everyone has varying opinions about these things. So I just think it's a really useless and sort of reactionary way to categorize people that can enable just a lot of infighting, when in reality everyone has a more nuanced opinion. But because you see the pro-C or the anti-C label, you immediately go, I can't talk to this person, or this person is obviously a bad person, or this person is obviously a prude and it's not useful to talk to them.
I agree with that. I don't think that contact discourse is needed at all ever, and I just think that it's quite stupid, because you can't really police what someone does in their free time, I fear. And I think that that's a lot of what it is, basically, especially within the radqueer community. I've seen a lot of people as of recent say that if you're pro-C, then you don't belong in the radqueer community, or if you're anti-C, you don't belong in the radqueer community, and it's just all jargon.
It's bogus.
And I think it needs to cease instantly.
I remember Salem posted something along the lines of, if your only argument against something is that it is prohibited by the law, then you have no real basis for it. And I think that whether knowingly or not, a lot of people's contact stances are going to be reflected by the law.
I don't have anything to add on to that. I need to let you guys know what text message I just received. Just a reminder, I'll be there at 7 a.m. sharp. Be ready.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, now you know. One thing about Wilbur is he's going to be sharp and ready at 7 a.m. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is that it's very difficult, nay, impossible, to establish objective morality. And every time I've seen someone attempt to do so, they end up defaulting back to a higher power as opposed to consequence, which I feel like makes more sense. I'll elaborate on that because it sounds like jargon. I've just thought about it a lot, so it makes sense to me. Basically, when it comes down to if doing XYZ harms you or harms someone else in a tangible way, you can attest that this thing is bad. However, because human beings are very strange individuals, harm has become very nuanced. We now like to do art. We like to express ourselves in atypical ways. And it can be received in a positive light because we can change things around and we can interpret things in different ways. And this helps us apply those nuances in real life so that we can deal with other human beings more effectively and with compassion in our hearts.
I have something to add on to that, and I'm going to sound very insane because I was talking to myself in the shower about this for like 4 days straight. I've been thinking about this. I think that morality is like a social construct, and please hear me out on this, you guys, because when I was a wee lad, I didn't know that other people felt emotion, and I thought that I was the only. Okay, well now that I'm saying this out loud,
this seems to be a reoccurring pattern.
I really thought that I was like the only real person on this earth till I learned that people are made up of the same things and that everyone has a nervous system and that people feel emotions and pain. And then I learned not inflict pain on others.
It's a beautiful story. You should write a children's book.
You know, I was thinking about that because I was like, if nobody would have told me that other people feel pain and that I was not the only one who felt pain in my life, I would have gone around inflicting pain and thinking that that was a fine thing to do. And don't quote me on that because I know the things that I've admitted to on this podcast, and I just
1 in 5 people that I come across in the queer community have narcissistic personality disorder and or have a personality disorder that affects how they perceive empathy or affects how they experience empathy. And I think that what you're describing is not a universal experience, so it can't really be used as a basis for a worldview.
As I was saying that is correct, but I think that, like, okay, for example, like, people who are racist weren't just born racist. And I'm not gonna say that with, like, certain things like murdering someone, but, like, because that just comes from, like, your brain, because, like, your brain tells you that you want the human race to survive, because you are born into this world knowing that murder is bad to do, even if you don't know that murder is bad to do. Right? But, like, yes, probably.
I think human civilization fell in 1400 BCE because we
I was
discovered
alive back then, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Because we discovered agriculture. Because we were able to utilize agriculture. We were able to farm and settle and stay in one place for a long period of time. Able to use our oversized brains and develop things like religion and politics. And this never should have happened because we were too busy. We weren't busy hunting and gathering. We were busy thinking, and that was our undoing. We never should have done that.
You know what? I, as a person who used to live on a farm, I think that that's where my life went wrong. Because I would tend to the goat, and I would milk the goat, and I would take the goat milk into the refrigerator, and that's where it would go, and I would tend to the garden, like the band, the garden. I would water the plants. I remember one day I picked a really good carrot. It was like long and
Pear?
a carrot,
Orange
vegetable, not the green fruit. People who like eat parrots, people who eat pears are like the most preposterous people ever. Because, like, okay, if you eat like Korean pears, then that's like a beautiful fruit. They're so juicy and delicious and large. But like a pear is like it's like a sour like potato.
Not sour.
Maybe I was just eating like a bad pear then.
I think you're eating bad pear. I think
no, because I remember I had like a really good pear once. I had a good pear one It was good, and I liked it. But then, like, all the other pears after that I had were bad. Maybe they just, like, weren't in season.
Maybe they weren't ripe, because when they're ripe, they're sweet. They're not supposed to be very hard.
Because it was hard and it was tough on my mouth.
It was not ripe.
I didn't like it. Did I ever tell you about the time where I ate, like, I had, like, a bag. I was 9 years old, and my family bought, like, a large bag of apricots. And I would sneak into the refrigerator and eat the apricot. And I ate the entire bag of apricot. I miss eating apricot.
Are they gone?
I haven't had one since then.
Since then?
They're so good. They're so good, and they're like orange and like chewy a little bit.
I've never had a fresh apricot. I've only had dried apricots.
I love dried fruit, like dried mangoes from Trader Joe's.
Dried? I don't like dried mangoes.
What?
They
What?
taste like carrots. They
What?
taste like carrots.
Carrots? Can't be. No, wait. Now that I think about it, you're kind of right.
I am right.
Anyways, I think that should be the end of the podcast. The reasonable recording room, where we record things reasonably.
Things are recorded. And dare I say, they are reasonable.
They are. They really are.